You ready?
How's it go?
It goes like this. 1, 2. I wanna linger a little longer, a little longer here with you. It's such a perfect night. It doesn't seem so right that it should be my last with you.
Oh my God, I love Marcel.
Wow.
Hello.
I love that.
I wanna linger. Just Jenny Slate, man. Wow.
Yeah, for real.
Jenny Slate. What could I say? And Dean. What's his name?
Dean Fletcher Camp.
Yeah, Dean Fletcher Camp. Oh my God.
I am so excited for this episode.
I am too. So we're talking about Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and for those that don't know, I don't even know if Andy knows. This is like I was at RA last year, and this is like the first movie that like I think me and Andy ever like talked about. I was like, oh, he's a film student. I was like, oh, what movie have you seen recently? And he's like, yeah, dude, have you seen Marcel the Shell with Shoes On? And I was like, dude, I love that movie. And I was like, I drove an hour and a half to see it, and then we talked about it. Like the first kind of connection that me and Andy had when we first met. Yeah, it was Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. That's why I was like super happy that we're talking about it this episode. It's like it's the end of season 2 kind of thing, end of being in the Kjack booth for a little bit.
Yeah. Last week was your favorite movie, and this is my favorite movie.
Really?
Marcel the Shell is
Marcel.
my
Oh,
number
you the
one.
little? Did you bring in the little guy
No,
or no?
dude,
Oh,
I wrote down in my notes, bring Marcel.
Oh no,
I
it's all
forgot.
good. He has a
Yeah.
little like the $30 like Marcel like
Yeah.
was it like acrylic figure?
Yeah.
It's so cute.
I bought it on I bought the digital version on Apple TV. I bought the Blu-ray, the special edition Blu-ray with like the little book. I have the little Marcel. I love this movie a lot.
Yeah, and they also have they've released now the A24 version of like the Blu-ray and stuff.
I need to pick that one up.
Yeah, no, I love this movie. I own it as well. It's all I didn't even realize it's on Letterboxd top 250. That's it's really cool. That's really cool. I'm looking at my reviews of it just so I know all my notes.
Wow, I should pull up my reviews because I've said a lot about it, and I wrote 2 pages of stuff of just like fun things I'm excited to talk about.
Yeah, this movie is so cute. It's so beautiful. And so I watched it last night with my girlfriend Jordan, and I was watching it with her, and I was like this is so Jordan core, and I was like, this is like it's so cutesy, it's so beautiful, it's so kind, it's beautiful. I loved it. Watching it with Jordan made it so much better too.
Yeah.
Because I watched it, so I drove an hour and a half, like literally into like downtown Phoenix, like a little bit south of Phoenix, just to go see this for the first time in a place I never knew where I was, never been to the theater, just to watch this movie.
Dang.
And I really was like, I need to see it. I sat in literally the next to the handicap space because it was the only seat available left, and I was sitting there and I was like crying at it. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful, and I was like, man, like what a journey. I drove an hour and a half to go see this movie.
I have a very similar story. I was sitting in some theater, and I was watching, and an ad for this was playing beforehand. I leaned over to my friend Brayden, and I'm like, I need to see this movie. This movie looks like one of the greatest things I've ever seen ever. And Brayden then told my girlfriend that I said that, and life happens. I got busy. I kind of forgot that it was coming out. And my girlfriend, Emily, shout out, she was like, hey, I have a surprise with you. Put on this blindfold and get in the car. So, of course, I do it. You know, it's overkill. And we drive, and it was like 45 minutes to an hour to downtown Sacramento to Tower Theater. And we watch it, and I loved it so much. I invited all of my friends, and we all came back the very next day, and I watched it again.
That's so cute.
I love this movie.
This is... it's. I'm gonna be saying the word refreshing in this like talking on this podcast a lot because it is such a refreshing movie. It is so heartwarming and beautiful, and it's so charming and cute. And Dean Fletcher Camp is great. Jenny Slate is great. And that they're the ones that carry it. And Leslie Stahl is great for what she's in it for. And it's just like, I don't even know where to start.
I think let's start with the technical aspect of it, and then we can get into the story.
Yeah, of course.
Because the technical aspect is something I hadn't really thought much about until I watched some behind-the-scenes stuff last night.
I didn't know about that.
Well, I like kind of looking at it, it's kind of like, oh, well, duh, they had to do, but like, Marcel is stop motion, right? Marcel is not CGI; he is stop motion.
Yeah.
But they have shots where they have a live dog playing with Marcel, and Marcel is walking around and hanging out, and there's a car driving. And there's rack focuses, and there's a very active camera with stop motion. And for those of you who don't know how to use stop motion, it's just taking a single picture and then moving something. Like, it blows my mind that this exists.
Yeah, it's something
you know?
that I was thinking about it last night, and it's like you kind of forget it's stop motion. You really do. You
100%.
genuinely forget it's stop motion. That it's an animated movie on its core. It's an animated movie based in real life. Because like you're just like not even really realizing it because Marcel interacts so much with a real life. So when you watch like Fantastic Mr. Fox, Isle of Dogs, Coraline, that are true stop motion, you know it's like you can visualize that it's in the real world, but it's like it's still an animated movie, and you have that suspension of disbelief. This one, like your suspension of disbelief is just there. It's always there. You don't really ever disbelieve something because you just believe that that Marcel is existing and he's moving on his own and stuff like that. I think I don't know anything about the technical aspects.
Yeah, it's basically they shot Marcel on a stage and they masked everything.
Oh, okay.
Which was so impressive because they had the lighting guy did like these crazy notes because they had to redo lighting for like that scene where they're driving in the car and a shadow of a palm tree covers, and it's like and glare and stuff. They had to redo all of that artificially, so they had to take notes of like where shadows were, when they happened. They had to redo everything, and it's crazy how they did that
Seamlessly.
Yeah, there's not a single moment where I'm like, ooh, that looks like everything
stop
looks
motion.
incredible.
Like the only things that I can ever say that like, oh, that looks like stop motion is like the teardrops of like crying or like the rain where you see the literal like plops of rain come up. But like other than that, like that's like the only time I'm like, oh, that's stop motion. Because like you don't even realize it. It's super cute. Also, how do they like color his shoes in? Like that, like I don't like he literally gets touched by like Dean, which is so crazy to me.
And also the camera is like it's
moving.
It's a mockumentary, so the camera's actively moving. There's a dog that's playing with Marcel. They do rack focus. Like there's so much time and care that was put into this. I would never be able to do something like this in a million years.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so
one thing
crazy.
also too is that these are not based on, but they are originated from YouTube Shorts, and those YouTube Shorts are in a very similar vein, but obviously less budget. And I don't know. I the technical aspect of this film is I didn't even realize it. It's outstanding. It's beautiful, and also it's on a low budget again because it's A24.
Yeah.
It's A24 that puts on these films. Who is like, besides their recent debacles with AI, has been like arguably the best studio to supporting young creators that are visionaries and doing unique things.
Yeah, what's cool is one of my favorite bits is like in the final scene where all of the little Marcel buddies are hanging out and they jump on the couch.
Yeah.
These things weigh nothing, especially if they're doing
Yeah.
stop motion. So they have pins underneath the couch in like 30-something different points so they can sag down the couch to like have it have weight. Every character has weight, both like literally and also in the sense of like Marcel is a real person. Like there's no the process of making this film was so backwards in the sense of most of this is not improvised. They had set points of story beats they want to hit, but most of the lines of dialogue are like improvised. They shot this movie 3 times. The first time was just all the voice actors on a soundstage, or the voice actors on set talking it out, and then they Frankensteined the hours and hours of audio together. And then they did an animatic, and then from there they shot the live action. So there's 3 different versions of this film.
That's crazy. So you have Dean, and then Jenny.
Yeah,
and then whoever Connie's voice actor is.
Dean, Jenny, and Isabel Rosanelli.
Gotcha. Yeah, no. Because I forget that Connie has a different voice actor than Jenny Slate.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's just so much about this. Like again, so we're going about a technical aspect that Jenny Slate like in a large way carries on her. Like she's also in Everything Everywhere at Once. She's the dog flinging lady in Everything Everywhere at Once. Jenny Slate is a very underrated actress and very underrated performer in general. She's been in a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows, and then obviously it's Marcel, which I think is her strongest performance in voice acting, which obviously again I've been advocating that we need a voice acting award somewhere in like professional like acting, because it is very difficult, and Marcel would have been a perfect year to be like, oh my god, Jenny Slate, best voice acting performance, because that would give reason to like have like The Rock not phone in a voice acting performance for Illumination Super Pets. You know, it's like having that idea that like, oh, you can get awarded for your talents here would allow for a lot higher caliber if you're only going for A-list actors. Because Jenny Slate is one of those voice actors that you're like, man, like that's Marcel, man, that ain't Jenny Slate, that's Marcel.
Yeah. What I think is most impressive is, like, I kind of do expect Jenny Slate to be incredible with Marcel. It's an original character that she's been doing for almost 10 years now, right? There were 3 YouTube shorts that her and Dean made together. But also, Nana Connie is also incredible.
Yeah.
And it's like she was just handed this character, and she really found the character and made it her own. And
Yep.
that probably has to do with the hours and hours of improvising and making
Yeah.
it her own. But it's every single voice actor feels real and has like weight behind it. You know.
And look at Dean, like he's literally interacting with an unmoving shell the entire film.
Yeah.
And it's like you gotta, it's something that he's been, again, 10 years going on. It's something that there's a talent to it where he has to have a mockumentary going with an unmoving shell. It's this idea that like it's hard to have the suspension of disbelief, because like a lot of times when you're acting, it's like you need something back at you. It's like it's hard to do it on your own. But Dean is doing this mockumentary style acting that is so just like it's real. It's like he's not like there's no moment in this film that I'm like, this isn't happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I'm like, this is happening. I believe that people saw Marcel on TikTok and went out to the house, because that is something that absolutely happens in real life.
And all of this is, you're getting so much emotion and like everything from a shell. It's a shell.
Yeah.
It's a shell with Polly Pocket feet.
Yeah.
And a googly eye.
Yeah, googly eye with
And
like
it's-
clay when it closes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's the most real and human film I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can even talk. Like you talk about the writing or anything. I don't even know what's improvised and what's not. But like my favorite line in this whole film is, "Do you know why I smile?"
Because it's worth it.
And he goes, "Why? Why? Because it's worth it."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I watched that. I'm like man, like, and then the last monologue that Marcel gives
Yeah.
about like how he's connected to the world and the wind blowing through his shell. It's like these are moments that I'm just like, wow. It's like these are impactful and human and genuine, and like, because I live a life where I try to make like everyone's life around me happier, and it's like a lot of people told me, Jordan tells me this a lot, that I smile a lot, and I smile, and I've never been asked why I smile a lot, but like if I ever was, I'd be like, well, it's worth it. It's like a smile does no harm almost ever. Like only time a smile causes harm if you're a horror movie killer, you know? It's like it's the only time it's gonna cause harm, because I don't know. It's like seeing someone smile at the smallest little things in life is beautiful. And then you go into Marcel, and he's like, I smile a lot. And Dean goes, why? Because it's worth it. And both Marcel and Dean are going through, in their own ways, pretty struggle, like transitional periods in their life.
Yeah, they live very parallel conflicts.
Yeah.
And I wrote down that Marcel lost everything but still has such an appreciation for life. And that can be shown in all of the incredible one-liners from
yeah.
Marcel, of like when he's talking about the crayon when he's in his pantry, or Crazen in his pantry, and he's
Yeah.
like, we save this because it is a treat.
Yeah.
I swear to you, my girlfriend and I quote this movie more than probably anything else in the world. I say, what a sad type of idiot. All of the time I say,
Yeah.
it is a treat. This is one of my favorite movies to just quote because it's hilarious. It's such a funny movie.
I want to start
in, like, a
signing my letters
realistic
with
way.
war. Yeah, I want
Oh,
to sign
yeah.
war. Like, what? I want to sign my letters with war. Yeah, war. Like, let the battle commence.
Let the battle begin,
Yeah,
Marcel.
let's go.
Like, it's so good.
It's so cute. There's so many, like, again, and I think that a large is again attributed to Jenny Slate. And you got like that innate charm to be like so genuine and funny all the time. And then also, again, it's that we talked about this and many different things, where especially in Inside, where you hide your pain, or you hide your emotions through comedy, or you hide your emotions through quips or whatever. And I think that in a lot of ways that Marcel does that, because you have those moments of Marcel where they talk about their lost family, and they need that the tissue and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And even despite all that, they were very quippy and like charming throughout the whole thing. Like, when they're like despite our language barrier, like, you guys always like did this for me, and then like you were always the worst singer in the class. Like, it's that kind of thing where you can tell that they're just trying to be funny about these people that they genuinely miss.
Yeah. I think it's something that I thought was really interesting this most recent watch is the sense of community versus the sense of an audience, and that's kind of what it's laid out pretty clearly when Marcel starts posting videos online, and he says a line something along like, yeah, I'm looking for a community of people to help to find my family. I feel like I just have
An audience.
you know, and I don't know, that feels very, very real and very like a struggle that a lot of people could possibly face, reaching out
Yeah.
for help and just being, just having an audience instead of actually a community of people who are wanting to help.
I think that's actually that's very poignant in terms of like real life things. It's like it's actually kind of like sad, but like a lot of like GoFundMe or like and you can attribute to just whatever the American healthcare system, whatever. But like people that like are facing like cancer or life-threatening illnesses,
Sure.
and they go online, like their family members go online and they ask for GoFundMe donations, and a lot of times if it's just there, like they'll rack up a couple dollars, but then as soon as it becomes tied to some sort of entertainer or thing like this, and like there's a reward maybe, there is much more akin to this idea like I feel supported. I'm an audience member watching this. I'm in the part of this community. When reality, it's like you're not a part of the community. You're just there. I mean, no matter what, support is support. Don't get me wrong, but it's that kind of thing where. You're right. I think that a lot of times, like a social media star, like how Marcel becomes a social media star, just becomes like an idea for people. Like you love the idea of me, like what Bo Burnham says. You don't love me.
Yeah. Just to do a quick run through of the basic plot there is a guy named Dean who's renting out an Airbnb from a guy and a girl who got in a fight. And the guy stormed off, and in his suitcase accidentally had every single member of Marcel's family, right?
Yep.
So they go in. So Dean moves in, and he meets Marcel and Nana Connie, and they're just talking. And Dean is like, "Hey, can I make a documentary about you? You're interesting. I'm a young filmmaker." And hijinks ensue, and they go on a quest to find Marcel's family.
Yeah, and I also love how no one in the entire film, from Leslie Stahl to Dean, ever question why there's a sentient shell.
Yeah,
No one ever questions it.
Oh, that's just Marcel. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I love that. Like in our life, if I saw a freaking sentient snail moving across this, like Marcel the shell too. I saw a little shell with shoes on walking around. I'd be like, "Hey, yo, what is going on here?"
Let's
Pause, run her back. But like, I love that there's no questioning. That is just Marcel. And that's how Marcel lives. And I love. Oh, the beginning of the film is one of my favorite parts, where it just showcases how Marcel lives,
how he copes.
Yeah, how he copes. He lost his family through the seasons, through the changing of the leaves. 2 years. And I think that you have the tennis ball of how that he gets around now because he needs to get from one place to the other. The honey to go up the ladder, the wall to get food. You have the shaking of the tree to make sure that things fall, that falls. And then you have Nana Connie who learned to garden because they need food, which is crazy because they eat food there. They're shells, but they still eat food, and their water is teardrop, whatever. And I think that a lot of it is so charming at the beginning, just immediately puts you into this world without no questions asked. It doesn't need any exposition, doesn't need any setup. It's just like here's Marcel. This is how I live, and it's so funny. It's so charming. You're like, okay, you're immediately put into this world. You're immediately shown, and it's fun. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it works too. He says in his monologue that it's like, oh, it usually takes 30 people to sort of get our community going. That's how many people it takes to do all the chores, get food, stuff like that. And there's 2 of them, you know, and that's how. Like every single thing from the tennis ball to the honey to the mixer is just how they cope without having that many people, you know, and it all seems very realistic and thought through, and just the attention to detail is incredible.
Oh, yes, and it's like that kind of thing where you even see Marcel making quips about the dog, and it's just so funny. He's like I've never had a dog myself. I like the idea of a dog though. I drag my piece of lint around on a leash.
Yeah.
What was the lint's name?
Oh wait, hold on. What is it?
Marcel's lint name.
God, it won't tell me.
No, Leslie Stahl even mentions it at one point.
No.
Oh
well.
well.
When I'm editing this, I'll put a thing on the screen. Alan. God, that saves me so much time in editing.
Oh my God, yes, Alan, the ball of lint. It's just so like I don't know. I just like again, there's just small things that showcase how Marcel has adapted and lived throughout his life, and I don't know. Like there's immediate setup into this film that just puts you into the shoes, the literal Marcel shoes on life. And again, it's another thing where you never see like Dean fully express his situation either. And I think that's very also amazing. It doesn't. So many movies need to give you this exposition about what's happening, when's happening, where it's happening, why it's happening, all the time. And this movie doesn't need to do that. It just sets you like Marcel has been alone for 2 years. That's all you need to know. And Dean moved in here. He's recently divorced.
Yeah, Marcel asks a couple of times. He's like, and Dean's always like, "Oh, it's personal," and then Marcel's like, "Okay," and
Yeah.
then like, and then Marcel has this one line. God, I wish I wrote it down, but he's like, "Dean, don't you think you'd be closer to people if instead of filming me, you actually opened yourself up to emotional
And then
stability
it
or
match
something
cuts.
like that?"
It match cuts
Yeah.
too to the candle being lit.
It does.
It's so funny. It
Yeah.
is so funny.
There's a very similar thing that I picked up on this most recent one, just because we just talked about Everything Everywhere All at Once,
Yeah.
and we talked about how powerful the thought of like, I just want to do laundry and taxes with
Yeah.
you is. There's kind of a moment in this where they just want to watch 60 Minutes all day. It's just
Yeah.
like all Marcel wants is a nice life with with Nana Connie and watching 60 Minutes. They love 60 Minutes. It's just called The Show.
It's just called The Show.
just call it The Show. That's how much
we
they
we
love it.
love it. Yeah. and it's just so cute because like also that's the reason that they loved it so much. That's the reason that like they ended up getting abandoned because Nana Connie and Marcel were there at the start, but the fight was going on that caused the
Yeah.
sock drawer to get dumped into the suitcase.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just like it's just like you see it, and I think that so much of it is again set up perfectly, and it puts you into a world that Marcel exists in.
Yeah, it's very much a film about the transitional stages in your life. There's a very beautiful line that I wrote down that really means absolutely everything to me. Is Marcel is thinking about taking the 60 Minutes interview, and he's scared, and he goes up to Nana Connie, and he's like, "What if everything changes?" And then she just responds, "It will." You know?
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's crazy, right?
It's a beautiful,
That's so good.
beautiful moment in the film where, like, what if, like, life changes? I'm afraid of change. Like, things are going to happen. I don't think anyone in this world wants life to be changed.
Oh, I throw a fit if things change. Like moving houses, I remember being like the most upset when I was like, I don't know, 12 and we had to move, and then going to college, and then all my friends leaving. Like it was all like, change is hard.
Change is so incredibly difficult, and Marcel was so scared of change. Again, you can see it so many times where he opens up and is like, I don't want things to change. I want Nana Connie to stay here. Like when like they leave and then they come back and Nana Connie was injured, like that was a change that I'm not ready for that, and he thinks that 60 Minutes will cause change, and Nana Connie was right. It did. She passed away.
Yeah.
But the thing is it also brought in the change of his family coming back, his community,
Yeah.
and that change again was scary. And you can tell that Marcel, even though he appreciates seeing his family and everyone again, the change of going down and needing that space for himself where he feels connected with the world was important to him.
Oh, absolutely.
And
That's a powerful.
it's such a
segment of it.
powerful monologue. It really, really
Yeah.
is, because it's so, again, like, it's so refreshing to see something so small talk about the human nature so well. Like, you never expect like the most human film to come from a shell where he talks about like I need a space to be myself. I need a space to be alone. I need a space that is just me, and I come out here. This is where Nana Connie used to be, and I sit at this windowsill, and the wind starts blowing through my shell, and all of a sudden, all the problems of the world, everything that's around me seems to just drown out as I feel that I am rooted and connected to the nature and beauty around me and the space that I'm in, because without me being here, without this window being open, without that wind blowing, that sound wouldn't exist. And it's just like you watch that and you understand that everyone above him is having that amazing time on the skating rink, and then Dean isn't planning on moving, and Nana Connie has passed away, but you see Marcel just be there and be in the moment and relax and feel connected. And I don't know, that moment is so like poignant into life in general, and it's about human nature. That sometimes you just need to take that moment for yourself, where you're away from everything, you're away from all the stressors, you just sit there and you connect. And that can be whatever. That could be playing video games, that can be watching a movie, that can be going outside in nature, that could be going for a run, that could be playing basketball, that could be whatever. And it's just, you're there, and that's the moment that you realize you're connected to not just your like everyone around you, but the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's beautiful. It's such a real like monologue. Like it's coming from an inch tall shell.
Yeah.
And he's talking about things that I feel all the time, like I can think of times when I've done this when I was just like a kid, and like it was either Christmas or Thanksgiving or something, and all of my family was together, and I just need a minute to just go to another room, close the door, and just take a breath, and it's great.
My roommates are big partiers, and like I am not. And a lot of times, the most like refreshing part of a party for me was going into my room and just hearing the party from outside, and just, and then I'm there. I'm like, I'm refreshed. I'm here. I can go back out there or whatever. And it's like I felt so much more connected at that point. And like even like I don't know. It's just like not even that all the time. Like at the film festival this past weekend, shout out Parking Garage Goblins, winning a couple of awards there.
Shout out.
Like I was sitting up top with my girlfriend, and I liked it so much more, where I was just there with Jordan and watching those movies and feeling connected to the movies. And I didn't necessarily need to be surrounded by everyone. I just liked being there and then being in that moment, just watching movies. And again, I'm watching Marcel. It's one of those films that you're just watching and you're like, man, why is it like you're crying, and like why is this show like talking about things that I struggle with? Like it's like you're why.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome.
Yeah. Interesting fact that I kind of found out about is that during the filming of this, Dean and Jenny actually were married and got divorced in the middle of filming.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I think that's why it's such a personal film, is because Dean is going through a divorce and Jenny is going through, like, they're both going through loss,
Whoa, I didn't even know they were married. I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah, and I think that really adds to
absolutely
everything.
It adds to everything.
Because it's based on a very real and recent experience.
For both of them, yeah. And like again, we always talk about how the film's about Marcel the Shell with Shoes On because it's titled that.
Yeah.
But Dean is just as much of a character there too, where you like as much as like Marcel, again, the quips of like where Dean goes like, I don't want to ask any questions. I don't want you to ask any questions. And literally the next scene
not about me.
Yeah, it's not about me. Marcel asks Dean like, "You had a raspberry?"
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff.
And what did you think?
Yeah, and it's like I don't know. It's something that like Dean becomes a part of the story just as much, and even like the characters in the film that are separated with the sock drawer and all that stuff, they are their own characters too. You're very small, don't get me wrong, but they're definitely important characters as they come back, and they're like the conflict that brings the resolution. And also, funny enough, this is a fun fact that the actress that plays that girl is she's in the failed movie Alita Battle Angel. She plays Alita. Random fact.
Jessie Klein.
Yeah, whatever her name is, I
Yeah.
can't remember, but she plays Alita Battle Angel. I remember that, and I was like, oh, it's crazy fact. She's the one that like is that woman that like left for Guatemala or stuff, like whatever. Besides the point.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. I'm going on a tangent.
That's
but
Rosa Salazar.
Rosa Salazar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but I'm going on a tangent here. But I just want to talk about like some of the midpoints of the film of going out and journeying and then failing. I want to talk about that because Marcel was so confident in the idea of, hey, we're gonna go out and go on the mantelpiece and look at everything above me, because it's like that's how Marcel lives. It's in that innate nature. That's how Marcel exists.
He doesn't know anything.
He doesn't know
outside the
anything
house.
about what's in like besides the house. And so Marcel, with full confidence, is like, we'll go out driving, we'll go to the highest point in wherever we are, which is in California. I can't remember what city.
I think it's somewhere in SoCal.
Yeah, somewhere in
remembering
SoCal. And they go to the highest point. They'll be able to see his car. They'll go to the house, and they'll save his family. And not only does that not succeed, Marcel comes back home to Nana Connie being injured, and that is the well, I don't know the literary term on top of my head right now, but that is the not
Belly
climate,
of the whale.
belly of the whale. That's what I'm trying to say of the film. It's like everything is down, and now Marcel gets a crazy opportunity to be on 60 Minutes, but no, he can't. That is going to be too dangerous for him.
Yeah, it's this is one of those films that, like, for me is really hard to talk about sort of the reasons why I love it, because it's kind of everything, you know. It's kind of like it's really hard to explain why I think this film is so special. I think one of my favorite little bits at the end is when you don't see Dean's face for most of the film. The first time you see him is when he
60
mics up on
Minutes.
60 Minutes.
Yeah.
And because Marcel and Dean's relationship is strictly not professional, but it's like Marcel is his project, you know? And that is until he moves in to his new house, and Marcel comes over to, like, as a friend.
He has a
That's
friend
the
to
minute
visit.
he becomes a friend. He puts down the camera and actually walks around the house in front of the frame with Marcel.
Yeah.
And I think that's just so, it's so sweet. Okay, it's so cute, and I love
I
it.
think it's so charming too. Initially, when you see Marcel trying to video Dean, and they're laughing with each other,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. There's this relationship that you don't really like fully realize until that end point. And also one thing I picked up on it this time though when I watched it. This is a movie I have always, by the way, I've put on behind me a lot of times where I see something in the background and it's refreshing to watch, and it's like only 89 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
So if I'm like doing my laundry, whatever, beside the point, is that literally Dean gets rid of his dog because Marcel was worried. That is so, like, I care about you.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
my dog is going to go away for a little bit, and
I didn't pick up on that.
yeah, because like Marcel was like, the dog needs to go. He needs to go, and then Dean's like, he'll stay with my wife for a little bit, and then he's like, you're married, and he's like, well, separated, and then like it just completely glosses over that Dean cares so much about Marcel and his safety that he just removes the dog.
That's so sweet.
It's so such like, aw, like, and he knows that the dog's not gonna be gone forever. He's not staying in the Airbnb forever. He's gonna get the dog back when he moves in. But like, he was like, in the time being, I can deal without my dog, my best friend. You also need to. I feel like you need to get more friends, Dean.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't really think he realizes that till the end that Marcel is his friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Dean definitely doesn't make an effort to. He sees Marcel strictly as, you are a project.
Yeah,
I'm working on a film.
Not in a
about you.
villainous way, but
No, not at all. Just in like he's going through a divorce. He's not ready to open himself up to new, and to an extent, they kind of both are. You know, Marcel isn't open. They're both not open to Marcel having a new family, and
they're both open to change.
yeah,
they're not open to
and,
change.
They have very parallel conflicts in the film, and they both need each other. And I think that's what's super sweet about it, is because there's this fear of loss. And what they don't realize is that sometimes, in order to gain anything, you have to lose something else. And I think that's when Nana Connie goes, he gets his family comes back. And you can tell at the end, it's kind of like a somber thing when there's like a 2-minute section where Marcel is just singing in front of all of his family. And you can tell just in the way that this googly eye is staring at the camera that, like, he wants Nana Connie to be there, you know? It's like, it's that loss isn't lost on him, you know? It's a very real thing that he deals with.
Yeah, he loved the idea of, like, I think Nana Connie, where it's like, you will make, like, and Nana Connie as a character is imperfect, where she goes like, you are doing this because of me, like, and she puts so much effort into making sure, which is, again, it showcases family. And I'm going, this is gonna be very tangential, and I'm gonna be going in a circle here, but so Marcel fails, and then the shell on Nana Connie cracks, and Marcel doesn't want to do 60 Minutes, refuses to do it. Change is going to happen. And Nana Connie realizes that when she reads the email, and then she asks Dean to explain it to her a little bit better. And so she makes a complete 180 effort to fake it, to make sure that Marcel feels like he can do this interview. And then all of a sudden, they're having this argument, and Nana Connie, essentially, in their shell version of yelling, goes like, stop thinking about me. Do this for you. I'll be mad if you don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, oh, like, whoa.
That's huge.
It's huge. And you're like this person genuinely, like, is so caring about their family. And it's like, I don't know, you're watching it, and I'm like, man, like I've had people in my life do that for me where they're like I will be mad if you don't do this because like I know you're trying to do it because you don't want to make me upset or don't want to make me mad or like don't want to change anything, and you're just like you're scared. Just do it for yourself. Do something that you love to do, whatever. And I think that is just so cool. And then Nana Connie, in a way, not sacrifices herself, but understands that she gets to meet Leslie Stahl, and she meets Leslie Stahl. She sees Leslie, and she ends up passing away, and she goes to her own space to pass away.
Yeah.
And like Marcel got that success, that amazing bronzer moment where he gets decorated with makeup to be on 60 Minutes, his favorite TV show, The Show, to then eventually be put on TV where he gets to watch it with his family, and that would have never happened without Nana Connie.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful movie. I highly recommend. I know my mom and my grandma both listen to the show, and I know both of you haven't seen Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, even though I have been, slightly demanding it for
You have another
years
person
and years
telling
and
you,
years.
saying to watch it.
Please watch it. Watch it tonight. I know you guys don't do anything. Watch it tonight. Watch it right now.
It is so, I don't know. It's just like I watch this and I'm so refreshed at life and existence. And again, watching it I've never watched it with someone so important to me like Jordan was, and watching it with someone that is so important to you, it changes the way you watch it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when I watched it alone, I connected it to it on a solo level. It's like like I connected to Marcel, I connected to Dean, being like change is scary. But then when I watched it with Jordan, I'm watching it and I'm like, man, like there are people around me that want to support me and care about me and what's the word? Unmotivatedly. Like they just do it because they love.
Yeah,
and they
like
care.
unconditionally.
Unconditionally, that's the word I was looking for. And I connect so much more with the film rather than just the characters, because I'm like this is so much a film talking about change and life and human nature, about being needed in the community, being needed by others, that I didn't necessarily pick up on the first couple times I've seen this.
Yeah, it's a film about family and the human experience. It's I think I wrote something about that. Yeah, in my letterbox I wrote the most human film I've ever seen. It's human. It's real. It's clearly from the real life divorce going on with Dean's character and Marcel. It's written from a place of reality, and it's very grounded in a place that you can tell that every single word, every single action, it's an improvised script, but nothing's said on accident. Everything is very meticulously crafted and said with meaning and passion behind it,
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to talk about how when this film was presented, a lot of people thought it was a kids movie. I remember going into the film and seeing the trailers and being have people around me being what is that? Or oh, my kids are going to like that. Because I love going to theaters sometimes and seeing trailers and then hearing the reactions behind me or in front of me or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's annoying, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I'm that's kind of funny. It's charming how people see these movies. Because I'll see a trailer for something that I'm really excited for, and people will be like, that looks bad. I'm like, no, it's not. And it's
it's not.
This movie was one of those times where I was I saw a bunch of people being that's so weird, that's so strange. Why that's such a kids movie. And then you go into it, and I went into a theater, again, like I said, an hour and a half away. About, I'd say 40% of the audience was kids. And kids were squirming in their seats around me. Again, I think that every movie has its own traits. And I think that this is, in some way, you can show this to a kid. But a lot of it might go over their heads sometimes. But at the end of the day, because I think that every movie is meant for everyone at some level, and I think that the ability that this can connect to everyone, and it's not just quote unquote this kids movie that everyone deems animated movies are, or this idea, and there were some kids in there that were very much attention to the details that Marcel is doing, and I just find it so cute and so charming about how it exists.
Yeah, it's gonna sound selfish, but it's really hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that the target demographic for this, there is a target demographic for this movie.
Yeah.
Because every single scene feels like it was perfectly handcrafted and written for me specifically as an individual. It feels like my movie. No one else.
No one else is allowed to watch this.
And, yeah,
ever.
It feels like it's mine, and I don't know. how it just like, because there are movies that I relate to more than Marcel the Shell, like Everything Everywhere All at Once, for example, we talked about last
Yeah.
week. I relate to that movie more than this. I'm not going through a divorce. I don't have a ton
Yeah.
of loss in my life, but that fear of change is there, and I feel more connected to this character than any other film, and I feel like it was written for me,
yeah.
even though, like, it's like I relate to other films more. It's interesting.
No,
I don't really know why.
I absolutely agree. And like some of my favorite movies of all time, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Trying to think of other ones. Grand Budapest Hotel. The only one I can ever say is the exception is Little Miss Sunshine, because I think that movie is written for me, even though it was made about like 2 years into my life. It's or it's like 6 years into my life. It came out in 2006. Beside the point. I watched this movie, and like I watched this in anticipation that me and Andy were going to talk about it. Man, this ain't Andy's movie. This is my movie. What are you talking about? It's Jordan's movie. It's like that's what I'm saying. It's not a movie that was made for Andy. It was made for me, and I'm selfishly saying that because I genuinely think that so much of that is scared of change, the human nature, about how Marcel exists. The smile because it's worth it. Like that is something that I would like in a heartbeat get tattooed. Like that kind of thing. I'd get a little. The funny thing is like the people that get Marcel the Shell tattooed, and the guy's like, that looks weird, and then Marcel clicks off of it. It's so funny, but like
It's a funny bit.
It's a funny bit, but like genuinely, this is one of those movies that like without watching it yesterday and seeing how much more it impacted me watching with someone that's so important to me. Like when I first watched this, I gave it 4 stars because I thought the charm was like unique, and it was like I liked it, and I felt like some of its like unconventionalism worked against it. But then I watched it last night, and I was like, man, this is so much more impactful, so much more that I could get this freaking tattooed. Like I liked it that much.
Yeah, I definitely want to. I won't because tattoos are expensive, but
And they're
I
scary.
want to, and they're scary. And
Lifelong.
it's a lot of change. I think that's what's kind of universal about this film is it carries, and I feel like every single person who watches it will probably have some sort of feeling of, oh, this was made for me specifically, because it tackles so many different themes that interweave so perfectly. Some people who are feeling sad or down can find grief and the themes of smiling and being happy. Why? Because it's worth it. There's also themes of divorce and loss and just being human, and it's hard, and I feel like there's themes for every single aspect of that someone could take away, and I feel like that adds to the universality. I made up that word.
I think that's a word. I think
I don't know.
you're
I say
universality.
big words because
They think they mean something. Those
Yeah.
words, they don't mean anything.
yeah, it's a very universal film because of how many themes can connect with such a large group of
such
people.
a large group of people. I agree. And something about this film that makes me so saddened is it essentially won no awards. I mean, and like awards are trivial. Don't get me wrong, but I can never deny that, like, as a filmmaker, winning an award at some point was very, like oh, other people see me, like other people see the effort and beauty that this film encapsulates. And that's why I love how Everything Everywhere Once won so many awards, because then it also puts in this mind that other people connected to this. And the only way I'm ever able to see other people connected to this is talking about it. And that's something I find genuinely amazing. Is like I've never met anyone that dislikes this film. And if I go in Letterboxd, the average of being like a 4.3 is crazy.
It's huge,
Because
yeah.
like so many films
4.3. Yeah.
4.3. Yeah, so many movies have such a wide array of like I don't like it. I don't think anyone could dislike this movie besides like old boomers that aren't really like into movies at all. Like my dad would not like it. I can guarantee that. Like my mom would love it though, and it's like my sister would love it. My 2 nephews that are basketball age in the high school, they wouldn't like it. My young nephew that's 5 years old now, he would love it. It's this idea that everything is so much of like it depends on the audience in some manner, but I think even if my dad watched it, he could connect to it, being like, because my dad doesn't open up ever. I love him, but he doesn't. Shout out, Dad. He gave me this hat. I love him to death, and he has a struggling. He's a hard time opening up. Like the first time I ever saw him cry was when my dog passed away, and I could tell that this movie would connect to him because he's also lost family members, but he's never cried. Yeah, like he lost his own father and he didn't cry. Like, and that's the kind of thing where I would love to watch this with my dad, and I think I might try watching this with my dad at some point in my life, and be like, hey, let's see how this goes. I kind of want. I'm going back to Phoenix tonight, by the way, and I'm gonna try watching a movie with my dad tonight. That's my goal. That's my goal. Watch a movie with my dad. And I don't know. It just seeing this film, it makes me feel so like I love family and I love everyone around me, and I don't know. I there's so much that goes unappreciated in life, and so much like the little things that go unappreciated that I think Marcel expresses. And again, this was a huge tangent that almost didn't make sense to anyone watching it or anyone listening to it. But truly, it's like this film makes me think about life more than almost any other movie. Like almost any movie, and it's a shell. It's a bad word. Shell. It's like a shell. Like I that's how I'm saying it.
Yeah,
It really is.
I read this in a textbook my freshman year, and for whatever reason it stuck with me. Don't ask me who said it. I have no idea, but it was
Kurt Lankus.
it was Big Kurt. He said a simplistic story allows the room for complex characters, and I think that is very, very, very true and very powerful. I think if you really want to break down the story of
Sidney Lumet says that.
Shout out Sydney.
Sidney Lumet. That's the director of 12 Angry Men.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really impressive how you did that.
Yeah, Sidney. I'm almost positive that's Sidney Lumet that says that, because Mark Ford used to say that all the time, and Mark Ford would assign that book every class. Beside the point. Shout out Mark Ford. He's in New Mexico now. Whatever.
Shout out Mark.
Okay, keep going.
I think it's very true. I think most of the films that you can give me, and I would consider my top 10 favorite films, I feel like 90% of them are very simplistic stories with very complex characters.
Yeah.
Even
look at How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Train Your Dragon,
Marcel.
so simple.
Yeah.
Marcel, so simple. Even to an extent, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a simplistic story with complex rules, with complex characters.
Yeah, I agree. I can say that's like one of those exceptions that has a little bit like of an asterisk on it. But like some examples of like a film that is like, I guess not simple, but like that doesn't work is like we talked about the Lorax. Like that it's like it's simple, but it doesn't allow itself to create complex characters because it wants to live in this idea that of grand marketing. It wants to live in the idea of what the film is rather than what the characters can create. But look at like one of the most amazing films that we never got the chance to talk about yet on this podcast is Little Miss Sunshine, where you have so many complex characters, literally a family of 6 of them, and that is a simple film. They're just trying to get to a beauty pageant on the other side of the country. Yeah, and this film is just a shell. Yeah, it is. Just a shell. At the end of the day, this is a movie about a talking shell. And it is so complex.
And not saying that having a complex plot is bad or anything. I mean, look at Inception. You know, Inception is very complex. Or James Cameron's Avatar. Those are very complex.
Or Interstellar.
Yeah. However, like if you go up to people and are like, hey, what's the name of the main character? I don't know the main character in Inception. I've seen it maybe 100 times, right? It's something.
Interstellar's is Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, like it's they're not complex characters. They're very simplistic characters.
Avatar is Nathan. I don't know.
I'm so glad you didn't know because that proves my point. It's very. Like none of these are bad movies. It's just they have different priorities.
They do. I think that like if you look at Avatar, it's the world building. If you look at Inception, it's the story. If you look at Interstellar, it's the visuals and idea. It's not the characters.
No, I don't think Inception would have worked if you got Leonardo DiCaprio's character and you made him as complex and as fleshed out as Marcel.
No, absolutely.
I don't think it would have worked at all because the appeal to Inception is the plot.
Yeah, of course it is. The inside a dream, inside a dream, inside a dream. Like that is
wake up.
That is Memento. I think Christopher Nolan is great at this actually.
Yeah.
Like oh my god.
Most Christopher Nolan movies are very, very, very complex plots.
Name any other character besides Oppenheimer. Like
like
genuinely try.
Yeah. And
like, and it's like I love Nolan. I actually love his movies.
I love Nolan a lot.
Even like someone like Kill Bill I've seen recently, and I've been on a Tarantino run. Like I watched Pulp Fiction partially last night. I couldn't really tell if Vincent and Jules. That's all I could tell you. I couldn't even tell you anyone else. It's again like where there's different priorities for films.
Yeah.
Like if you look at like Marvel movies, which we've talked crap on it for a while, people don't watch them for their plots ever. They watch them because popcorn, eating nice, like watch fun, you know.
It used to be about the characters.
It
I
used
think
to
the
be.
character of Tony
Look-
Stark in Iron Man 1 was incredible.
Look at Bucky Barnes and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Look at Captain America and Winter Soldier. That film is favorite by MCU film is Winter Soldier.
And then James Cameron released Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy.
Yeah.
And the Fire Nation attacked.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh
and
my
that's
God,
a
we
great
could be
movie. It's a
funny.
horrible thing. It's James
it's a
Gunn
great movie.
And then it just
It's just that's what flipped the switch to
Yeah.
like, oh, it needs to be a comedy instead of anything.
yeah.
else.
And, but that's the point. We're going.
Shout out
to-
James Gunn.
Yeah, shout out
love
James
you.
Gunn. Yeah, you're a great visionary, man.
Yeah.
Like
Let's
it
get
wasn't-
coffee. Let's
Wasn't
hang
your
out.
fault. It wasn't your fault,
No,
man.
it wasn't,
But no, I'm going on a tangent. But like genuinely, it's like Marcel is such a complex character, and so is Dean, and none of it is. Here, audience, we're looking at Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and he is a character, and
Yeah.
he has these XYZ problems. It is something that you see throughout the film that you feel. You don't get told. You don't get told it.
It's unspoken.
And
It's
some
kinda
things-
picked up.
Sometimes you see a movie that's a rom-com, and or like it tries to have this idea of complex characters. Like I saw again this film that me and Jordan watched on like a random movie night, and it was like we didn't know what we were going into. It was called Ordinary Angels. Horrible movie, but they sit down and they're like, all right, this character, he is complex because he has a daughter that is dying of cancer, and this is why he feels this way. And like it tries to force feed it to you
Yeah.
and tell you this character is complex without ever showing it.
Yeah, a
and
tell,
Marcel
don't show sort of thing.
shows it.
Yeah.
Shows how complex Marcel is. And like it's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I didn't also realize. I also mentioned like those little spiders are super cute.
Oh yeah. That's
Was it?
it's Henry? No, it's something the spider. It was a YouTube thing
Yeah,
at
YouTube
the
short.
same time as Marcel.
Yeah, I thought that was cute that they added them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I just want to go on like and say that about like how like Marcel is complex, and I just like again, this movie is about human nature, and I love this movie.
I do too. Do you wanna? Do you have any final thoughts before I play "Linger" again and we turn this into
sorry
a karaoke?
for ending early and starting early. I got somewhere to be. But like one thing about this, and me and Andy, for everyone know, we're probably going to continue this on Discord.
Shout out.
So you won't hear it live anymore for anyone listening at 107.1. But we'll try to continue it next semester. But what I'm saying is that I love being on Jumpcut. This has been fun to talk about, and this is a great way to end season 2 because. Human nature, change is scary. You are going to move. You're going to graduate. You're going to live life differently. You're going to meet the love of your life. You're going to break up with the love of your life. Things are going to happen that are going to change your life. Your family's going to pass away. Everything's going to happen. You're going to meet new people. You're going to lose people. Everything changes. But at the end of the day, it's how you connect with the world and how you make those connections and who you meet and how those connections affect those people around you. And Marcel it shows that. And perfect film to end on. And I'm glad that it's also one of the things that me and Andy first ever talked about. So it was perfect film.
It's a real like bookend sort of thing
For chapter 2 or season 2.
Yeah. I think what I want to leave with is that like the world keeps spinning. You know, you can't stop it. There's nothing you can do to make the world turn one more day. You know, and being scared of change. And I'm speaking to myself because change is something that I'm terrible with. But being scared of change is normal. It's normal, but change is necessary, and you'll never know what you're missing out on unless you give it a chance. And so take that leap of faith and just sort of go for it. You know.
Amazing.
It's been so much fun being on Jumpcut. This is genuinely my favorite part of the week. Is
Literally mine too. It's I love it. I look forward to it.
So if you wanna catch up with us over the summer, it's Jumpcut 107.1 on Instagram or at Jumpcut 107.1 on YouTube, and shout out, and we'll see you all next time.
See you all next time.
It goes like this. I wanna linger just a little longer, a little longer here with you. It's such a perfect night. It doesn't seem so right that it should be my last with you. Come September.